Alright, I actually love this. As someone who is generally pro-piracy, I love the history of piracy, and that takes us back to pirate radio. Some of the earliest intellectual property pirates believed one simple thing, that art should be free. And music was art, so music should be free. Insert people arguing in the comments here, but the point is, a bunch of people started opening up pirate radio stations. These were usually ultra-local radio stations that would play music that someone just had. They had purchased the music and thus owned the vinyl, but did not have a license to broadcast it. But nonetheless, they were sharing the music they had with the world, and they were allowing the world to listen and eventually copy that music just by putting in, say, a recordable tape while it was playing. They would often set up broadcasts specifically so that you would be able to record it. And pirate radio wasn't just music. They would end up pirating lots of stuff, from audio dramas to news. And they would make use of bandwidth in the air that they technically did not own and technically were not allowed to broadcast on. Now, pirate radio was incredibly important in a lot of political conflicts, because they were able to broadcast news that basically was censored and or altered by governments. Less so in the US, but more so in other parts of the world. And again, this was basically meant so that not only could you hear things, but you can save things. They were specifically designed as programs that you could save on tape for history. And when we learned how to store programs, like actual software programs, on tape, they ended up doing the same thing. Because the programs stored on tape were just audio data. So pirate radio stations would take a program that would be on a cassette and put it into their broadcasting deck and just broadcast the audio data. And then you, a random person at home, could put a writable cassette into your deck and then press record, and you could record the whole program. Then you put that tape into the cassette deck of your Commodore 64, loaded it up, and you had a program to play. I mean, of course, there were lots of problems. Static could corrupt the data, or you can start recording late and not get the original headers and stuff like that. But good stations gave you a lot of time, both at the beginning and the end of the broadcast, to make sure that you got a clean program. And this was one of our earliest examples of software piracy. Programs were literally broadcast over radio airwaves that you would copy onto tape, and then you would play in your Commodore 64. And this was happening in the late 70s, early 80s, so don't believe anyone who says that piracy is a selfish offshoot of the information technology age. We've been doing this for decades.